Shalom everyone, welcome back. Parsha's Vayeishev. In this week's Parsha, Yaakov is widowed. He's lost his wife Rachel. He's giving preferential treatment to his son Yosef. When he makes blazers for everyone else, Yosef gets one, Ktonit Pasim. It's got a little red strip around the sleeve by the pasayad, by the palm of his hand. And that's enough to make the brothers really, really feel slighted. Our sages say never treat one child different than the others, even though Yosef was far more skilled than his brothers. He was smarter, he was sharper. Yaakov was able to teach him what he couldn't teach the others, and he really was a world genius, as we will see later. But our sages say don't treat one different. So Yosef gets preferential treatment, and then he has these two dreams. He dreams that they're all making bundles in the field, and then their bundle bows to his. He dreams that 11 stars are bowing down to him. The sun and the moon, they're all bowing to him. And the brothers, they understand. They say, you're going to be our king? What are you thinking? And Yaakov sees the enmity that is evolving in the house. So he yells at Yosef, Ma halom hazeh asher halamta? What you dreaming about? But really Yaakov knows, wait. This is something that might still come true. So the brothers go out to graze the sheep, and Yaakov is worried. He sends Yosef, go see how your brothers are doing. And Yosef, even though he knows things aren't so good between them, he goes. And on the way, they've already shifted. They went back to Shechem, which is dangerous territory. And when Yosef gets there, they've gone somewhere else. But Hashem sends an angel, Gavriel, to tell him where to go. And as Yosef is approaching the brothers, they say, there's the dreamer. He's threatening us. If he convinces Dad that we're all the way he says we are, that we eat the meat before the meat is dead, that we're with women who are not allowed to be, what's he trying to do, Yosef? In the end, he's trying to make it that we're not part of the Jewish people. We're going to be like Esav. We're going to be like Yishmael. And only he will be the chosen people. So they feel threatened by Yosef's Lashon Hara, threatened spiritually. And they convene a court, and they rule that he is supposed to get the death penalty. And they start discussing how they're going to do it. And when Yosef approaches, they grab Yosef and they strip him of that royal blazer his father made him. And they throw him into the pit. Reuven had told them, he says, don't kill him. Throw him in the pit. We shouldn't do it with our own hands. And what Reuven is thinking is, I'll come back at night and I'll take him out. So Reuven leaves the brothers and he goes to his own prayer, to his own tshuva. And he waits to the nighttime. But what he doesn't know is that as the brothers sit down to eat, and Yosef is pleading with them from the pit, guys, don't do this to me, take me out. They see a group of Yishmaelim coming. They see a group of merchants selling perfumes, and they say, why shouldn't we make some money off of this? So they pull out the white boy, Yosef, and they sell him to the Yishmaelim, who will take them into Egyptian territory, and they say, let's see what happens with his dreams now. And Yosef is sold naked for 20 coins with which the brothers will buy themselves shoes. And when Reuven returns that night to pull Yosef out of the pit, Yosef's gone. So he's calling Yosef, he's not there. He runs to the brothers and he says, where's the child? And they tell him the story. They sold him while he was gone. And Reuven says, what am I going to do? How am I going to come back to Dad? So they say, don't worry. They take Yosef's cloak, they tear it, they dip it in goat's blood, and they send it to Yaakov. Yehuda brings it with the statement, do you recognize this? Is it your son's cloak or not? And Yaakov says, I do. A wild animal killed my son. And he looks at the brothers with this suspecting look. Yosef is taken down to Egypt. And the brothers look at Yehuda and they say, you're the one who told us to sell him. And so they demote Yehuda. Yehuda goes and marries, and he has 3 children, Onan, and Shelah. Now Yehuda caused his father such pain. Yehuda will lose his 2 sons. And Onan, they marry a woman named Tamar. First marries her and he dies. And then Onan marries her and he dies. And Yehuda doesn't realize that his 2 sons did things to ensure not to impregnate her because they wanted her to retain her beauty. So he thinks there must be something wrong with her. So Yehuda tells her, why don't you wait till Shelah grows older and then you'll marry him? And when she sees this isn't for real, so she gets all dressed up. And Yehuda has lost his wife at this point. And she goes and she seduces Yehuda to being with her. And after the story, Yehuda doesn't realize that it was her. And when he hears she's pregnant, he asks, how'd that happen? According to our tradition here, if a woman does that, she gets branded, she gets burnt because she's been unfaithful to the family. And she doesn't reveal, but she sends the sign to Yehuda. The man who owns this staff, he's the one who impregnated me. And Yehuda admits, he says, that was me. And when Yehuda admits that, he saves the 2 children she's pregnant with, from which the great Davidic dynasty will ultimately come. So Yehuda has lost his 2 sons and his wife, so to speak, as payback that Hashem has given him for the pain he caused his father. Yosef is sold in Egypt to Potiphar. Potiphar, who was an executioner by Pharaoh, and Potiphar's wife wants to seduce Yosef. So day in and day out she tries to seduce Yosef, and Yosef does not succumb. Until one day everyone's out worshipping the Nile, and she comes in and she grabs Yosef by his cloak and says, sleep with me. And Yosef refuses. And she pleads and begs, and he sees he's not going to get anywhere, and she pulls him towards the bed, and he slips out of his cloak, and he runs out naked to the street, at which point she starts yelling. She says, look at what this Hebrew slave tried to do to me. Look at him. And she says to her husband, what'd you do to me? What'd you bring this guy here for? And she throws the book at Yosef. But when the Egyptian priests are brought to judge on the case, they look at his cloak and they analyze it. And they see that the torn parts of the cloak are in the back and the neck. The way Yosef claimed, I was pulling back, she was pulling me forward. And they tell Potiphar, we're sorry to tell you, but the servant's claims are proven true by the cloak. And Potiphar has nothing to say. So he puts Yosef in a royal prison. And in that royal prison, Yosef stands in shackles, and he stands over a hot cauldron, and he's down in the dungeons. And over there he meets Pharaoh's 2 servants who have had a dream. He spends almost a decade suffering down there, but he never loses hope. And when he interprets their dream and he tells the butler, you should know in 3 days you're going to be reinstated by Pharaoh, and I have no hope unless you remember me and mention me to Pharaoh. Well, that's because Yosef still has hope. But he shouldn't have used the words, I have no hope unless you mention me to Pharaoh. And when his interpretation comes true, the butler, who's a cruel person, willingly forgets Yosef until next week's Parsha. We'll see you then. Shabbat Shalom.